To order. Call meeting to order at 16. This is May 7th, 2025. And as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. It will be posted to our YouTube channel at a later date. And before we start the meeting, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our new appointed board member from Haldeman, Deborah McKee. Deborah, she and I had a little chat yesterday, and she's welcome to the board. You're with a good group of people here, and I'm sure that you're good. We trust you're here, that they've appointed you here for the best interest of Marcia. So welcome. Do you want an introduction of all the members, all the people here?
I can read that.
Okay, do you know where they're from?
No.
Okay, well, why don't we take them? Should we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all right. Jess is our media person, I guess. Her name Jess King, and Councillor Columbus from Norfolk, and Pete Impa from Southwest Oxford. Oxford County has 3 representatives on the board, one from Southwest Oxford, one from Norwich Township, which is Mayor Jim Palmer, and myself from Tillsonburg. And we're all appointed by Oxford County to be here. Okay. And I think you know Mayor Bentley, okay, and Councillor Van Passen from Norfolk County. And Rainey's not here yet. Robert Chambers from Brant County. And Brant also shares a spot with Grand River. And Robert is our representative here on Long Point. And Brant also has, Long Point also has a representative from, wait a minute. From
Brant has a representative at Grand River, Grant a representative.
So there are 2 representatives from your council on 2 different conservation authorities, is what I'm saying. Okay. Yeah.
And Norfolk has rep on Grand River, but we delegate that ability to Haldeman County.
Oh, I see. Okay, right. Yeah. And our staff person, our engineers to first. And Leanne is our planning person. Aaron is our finance person. Our general manager Judy. Doug our vice chair here is from Norfolk County, and my right arm, my bloodline right here. I should say bloodline. That would make her a relative. She's not a relative. She looks after you.
Likely.
But likewise, what I'm thinking. Yeah. So,
Jerry, I have a
yeah, and Tom, Shelley just came in. And Tom looks after Ward 1 Norfolk. We're just introducing Deborah as our new member. So welcome. Okay. If there's any questions, and I'm sure that we don't have name tags, but you'll get to know us pretty soon. All right. Okay. Additional agenda items. Okay. No additional agenda items. Okay. The approval of the agenda. The motion that the LPRCA Source Protection Authority approves the agenda as circulated. The mover, Jim, the seconder is with the Pete. Okay, all in favor? Declaration of conflict of interest, general nature there. Seeing none. Minutes of the previous meeting. Long Point Source Protection was done on May 1st, 2024. Ever this is done annually. It's Source Protection meeting. A motion that the minutes of the LPRCA Source Protection Authority meeting held May 1st, 2024 be adopted as circulated. Amended? Councillor Columbus, or questions?
no, it's done.
You're moving? Okay. We should ask, are there any amendments or changes? Will we read? Then seeing none, moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Deborah. We'll have you in the minutes. Okay. All in favor? That's carried. So it does say here minutes arising for the previous meeting, so there wasn't any. Correspondence, the annual progress reporting. Okay, a motion that correspondence outlined in the LPRCA Source Protection Authority agenda of May 7th being received with information. Are we not premature? Should we read that after the report? No, before the report.
It's just the correspondence.
Oh, the correspondence.
It's the email. Yeah.
A motion for that, for the correspondence, do you? Mover and seconder, please. Chris and Shelley Ann. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, under new business, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Sabir, who's going to introduce Sherry, who is Source Protection Program Manager, and Caitlin, the Source Protection Program Coordinator from Lake Erie Source Protection Region. And I believe they're joining us here on digitally. So, Sabir.
Thank you. Through the chair, you have before you the 2024 Long Point Region Protection Source Protection Annual Progress Report and supplemental form. The Lake Erie Source Protection Region staff is seeking the board's direction to submit this report to the MSCP. Mr. Chair, we also have, as you mentioned, Kathleen Roseberg and Shari Ammer from Source Protection Program Manager, who have joined the meeting virtually. If there are any questions, Shari and Kathleen will do their best to provide answers. Okay, Mr. Chair.
Very well. So, is there a presentation?
Through the chair, you have the report. You have 2024 Long Point Region Source Protection Annual Progress Report and supplemental form with you.
Right, okay, we have it here.
Yes.
So we've all read the report.
And if you have any questions, Shari and Kathleen will do their best to provide answers.
Thank you for the clarity on that. Okay, so we've read the report, we've received the report, we have the report. Are there any questions on the report? Pete.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 12 of the agenda, page 3 of the report, down at the bottom, to believe it's the last paragraph, she talked about two significant drinking water threat activities related to the handling and storage of dense, non-aqueous phase liquids and organic solvents. Can somebody put that in plain English, please?
Can we count on one of our people? Sherry, are you in a position where you could answer that question? Could you hear the question?
Yes. So through you, Chair, and correct me if I missed part of the question. It is a little hard to hear virtually here. So that's talking about what we refer to in short as DNAPLs. So it's a class of organic chemicals, and when we identify these threats for drinking water source protection, the technical rules outlined in the Clean Water Act actually provide a list of activities where these chemicals may be used. So a common one that we see is like motor oil. So that's just one example. But it's the type of chemical that we don't want to see in drinking water.
Well, Mr. Chair, comment. I appreciate the answer. Thank you. But where possible, if staff can use plain English, would be much appreciated.
It's a technical form that's going to be submitted, so it's well taken. Thank you very much. Any further questions for staff? Well, we thank the staff for their time. Thank you for that. If there are no more questions, I'll just read the audit. Is there a motion for this? Oh, why? Okay. Yeah, well, we go with. I'm looking for. I'm sorry. Yeah, Pete.
I didn't make separate notes on each of the points, but there's a number of questions in the long form, especially towards the end where LPRCA or the Source Protection Authority declined to give an answer, and I just wonder if staff can explain how that's acceptable in terms of submitting this form.
So, Bert, do you have that answer?
Cheryl.
Or Sherry, are you still here, Sherry? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Sherry, are you?
thank you, Chair. Sorry, I just turned off my video to try to hear better. So, I I don't have the specific questions on the of my head. So if there's the broad answer, we've done the same, we've given the same response for all four of our source protection areas. And this is kind of a longstanding position of the Source Protection Committee, that we would not provide responses to optional questions. And really the rationale behind that is they were questions that we felt required a lot of staff resources to provide responses to, but we didn't think that they were really contributing to improving the implementation of the plans or providing new information for the Source Protection Authority or the ministry.
With that response?
Chair.
Did you hear the question?
If people can use the microphone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you had it on. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, no, I'm just as a follow-up, is the ministry okay with that response?
We have not received any negative feedback from the ministry on that in the past. They do review responses every year. They will sometimes come back with questions about particular responses just for clarification, but we've never received anything on that. I will say the ministry is currently going through a process of reviewing their questions that they provide to the SPAs. And so I think I suspect to try to provide better information for the ministry and the SPA in the future, and ones that we're not providing helpful information may be removed. So we're hoping to see those changes come forward for next year, but it's still in progress.
Satisfied with the response? Sure. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm on page 15, 26 of the report. I did read through a lot of this information. I did find it a little confusing, but I believe the last report we got, the simple well field system was rated the highest in the group. And I guess my question, it says nitrate levels have not changed. How can you tell me? I've read a lot about nitrate levels in Lake Erie. I'm just wondering, how do we compare with our wells compared to Lake Erie? Any comment on that?
So through you, Chair, in terms of the lake itself, I am not familiar with nitrate levels in the lake, but I will say we do see across the Lake Erie Source Protection region, so that's in Long Point region and the Grand River watersheds full wells with elevated nitrate levels. And we are seeing elevated nitrate levels in the Grand River watershed. I don't know the data off the top of my head to compare how the Simcoe well supply compares to those, but that's definitely something we could look into for you if you're interested.
And a lot of articles, I know Brock University is doing a study right now on, the algae blooms and the nitrate levels and so forth. But I assume there's been something previous to what they're undertaking now. But I would be looking at it. I'm assuming that was already done a few years back, perhaps, to see what if any increases have taken place. So I would be interested in that. We have two sources of water, both Port Rowan and Port Dover, I guess. They draw out of Lake Erie, and I'm just curious how the nitrate levels might be comparable to well water. And I know Dover, or Haldeman, I assume, have a lot of water at Lake Erie. So, anyways, it'd be very interesting to know some of the comparatives if we could. Thank you.
To staff direction to go back with this information. But it shouldn't we're okay to approve the report.
Oh, yeah.
That's ready.
Yeah, no.
Okay. You didn't want an amendment to
No.
Any further questions? Pete?
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Chair. It struck me as I was reading this report over the last number of days that this does carry a fair amount of weight, and it's easy to take a report like this when you don't understand all the details and kind of glaze over as you're reading it and not soak in all the details. But at the end of the day, I was trying to explain to my son today the importance of tonight's meeting. At the end of the day, if something goes badly with the water supply in any of our communities, it's going to be us that have to answer for it. And I think that's a fair amount of responsibility that we have here. So I would like to hear from staff. I have read the report. I don't entirely understand all the detail. I'd like to hear from staff. What is the primary threat to the drinking water in this area? How have we addressed it so far? And how much more work has to be done in order to mitigate any major concerns within the watershed?
Sherry, are you prepared to answer the councilor's question, the member's question?
Yeah, so
Papers.
I'll let Kate jump in if she has more specific information, but through you, Chair. The way the source protection program is laid out, there's a list of 22 significant drinking water threats in the Clean Water Act that we are looking at. We are currently for Long Point Region going through a comprehensive update under Section 36 of the Clean Water Act that is looking at those threats that were originally enumerated to determine how many of them have been managed, how many have we determined may no longer be there, and any new ones that have come up. So that is something that will come to the Source Protection Authority in the next year and a half to 2 years. Off the top of my head, I don't know if there's a particular threat that stands out more than others. But what is included in there is kind of agricultural threats, chemical threat, sewage and waste, and it will vary for each municipality and each specific municipal system, which ones may be pose a larger risk to that system.
So further, well, we've mitigated a number of these risks from what I read in the report. Do we have a significant amount of work to do yet in order to get that number down to 0 outstanding threats?
So there certainly is still work to do. All of our policies have either been fully implemented or they are in progress. So it's the ones in progress that are still remaining. A lot of those tend to be risk management plans. So that's where the municipal risk management official works with the landowner to put together this plan to manage the risk. And that process can be years long in some cases, especially for agricultural properties. Or sometimes what we'll see is if there's a change in landowner or a change in the activities that are present, then that requires them to go back and renegotiate those plans. So it is a lengthy process. We are doing well in terms of making progress and implementing those. But that tends to be the policies that we do still have to implement.
Certainly.
Another question.
Thanks for that answer. So I farm in Southwest Oxford Township. I own 2 properties, 300 acres in total. I may be undertaking activities that I don't even realize are a risk. How are landowners made aware of issues that they might be creating by standard, what they would consider standard farming practices?
So as part of our enumeration, it starts with the desktop exercise. So the municipal staff or risk management official would identify where agricultural properties are located. And you look at where that is in relation to the vulnerable area that's created to protect that municipal supply and what the scoring is. So that kind of determines the risk and which policies will apply. When we delineate those vulnerable areas or make changes to the plan, there is a public consultation process that involves public notification. So as a landowner, there's reason to believe that you could be conducting those activities, then you would receive a notification letter letting you know about the changes to the plan and how it might impact you. If you were subject to a risk management plan policy, then the municipality would be reaching out to you specifically to try to start the negotiations on that plan. And similarly, where we have education and outreach policies, you would receive various forms of outreach from the municipality.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter raised a good point. When I read this report, to me, it's a 2024 report, and it's all reactive to what happened in 24. How do we look at it to be proactive for 25, or do we just wait and see what happens in 25 and then say, okay, well, this is what happened? I think we have to look at who looks at it to say, okay, we want to make sure that in 2025, in some of these areas that might be vulnerable, how do we act on them to be more proactive than just sit back and wait on 25 and see what's happening?
So through your chair, the Clean Water Act really outlines the requirements for this annual reporting process, including some specific things that the ministry is requiring the SPA or municipalities to report on. So that really drives this process. And within the act, it does identify May 1st of the following year is when you will submit this. So the purpose of these annual reports is to report on progress towards implementing the source protection plan. And the source protection plan itself would have been developed in order to meet the objectives under the Clean Water Act. So we are being proactive in other ways in terms of looking forward to how we need to amend our policies or make amendments to our assessment report to change the science, add new wells, new issues that have come up. That is work that is always ongoing, but the annual reporting process is really meant to look back on over the last year. What did implementation look like? And when you read the overall progress scoring that the Source Protection Committee has recommended, even though this is for the 2024 annual progress report, that overall score is really meant to capture progress since the Source Protection Plan was originally approved in 2026. Or sorry, 2016.
So, we understand the report, but who's monitoring what's going on all through 25? Who's monitoring all these areas to make sure we're, I guess, protecting these well fields? Who's the ag and food or the environmental people? Are they watching that? Who's watching? Besides, I
Yeah,
mean,
so sorry, I can talk about it. So through the chair, within the source protection plan, we have a number of policies, and each policy has a specific implementing body. So that is who is implementing that policy. So a large number of our policies are the municipality, either municipal staff, through planning or other departments, or their risk management official that are implementing the policy. But there are also policies that are called prescribed instrument policies that are implemented by the ministry. So instances where there's a specific prescribed instrument or approval mechanism through the ministry, they are the ones that are overseeing that. So it really depends on the specific threat that you're looking at and the policy that is being applied.
Thank you, Chairman. All good questions, but I'm gonna throw a little bit of, personal experience about all of these. Um, when this whole system got put in place back,
2016.
yeah, 16, the municipalities had to, or should have amended their official plans and their zoning bylaws. In certain areas in the wellhead protection zones, you're not allowed to build things, you're not allowed to have certain businesses, you're not allowed to have things. Agriculture has things like the Nutrient Management Act, that in wellhead protection zones, you're not allowed to use certain chemicals, certain pesticides, things like that. The TSSA will regulate where you can store fuel and oil and things like that. And you gotta stay out of the wellhead protection zone where you got certain barriers around it. So it's not just the Source Water Protection Act. It's probably one of the acts that interacts with so many other government bureaucracies. So there is no one group that babysits it or polices it. It's all those other departments all working together, and municipalities at the lead of that as well, and LPRCA that, through our regs that we're regulating some of the things around source water protection zones. So, the real world, it's there's mountains of paperwork to get done to keep our wellhead safe. So
There's a 22-point checklist that has to be done, and this is all based on 2020. Because 2025 hasn't started yet, and so it's how do you compile that? But it's being compiled now for the next report, which will due May 1st, 2026. Further questions? The third. Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just looking at the report on page 3 of the report, agenda page 12. That is regards the municipal progress of assessing risks. And I'm reading here that it says that municipalities are required to review and update their official plan to ensure it conforms with the source protection plan the next time they undertake an official plan review. And I keep reading and I see that Bayham, Norfolk, Oxford, Holden, and Allied have all completed their official plan amendments. And the one that's missing there is Brant County. And I'm just wondering, is that something that I should be telling Brant County to finish or make it known that they have actually had their official plan update approved? Where's Brant County on? It looks bad for Brant County on that list. Nobody else saw that problem.
Sherry?
Yeah, so through the chair, there is a simple explanation for that, and that is there are actually no vulnerable areas in Brant County that fall within Long Point region. So for Brant County, everything that we deal with for source protection at the moment is within the Grand River. So the Grand River annual progress report does indicate that Brant has completed this exercise.
Didn't the Grand River report and there's so say Basin Brant County.
Is there anything further? They're all great questions. Seeing none, we'll read the recommended resolution. Submission of the 2024 annual progress report. The motion reads that the Long Point Region Source Protection Authority is satisfied that the 2024 Long Point Region annual progress report in supplemental form meets the requirements S-0.46 of the Clean Water Act 2006 and any director's instructions established under regulation 287/07 S-52, and that the Lake Erie Region staff be directed to submit the 2024 Long Point Region annual progress report in supplemental form to the Director of Conservation and Source Protection, Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, along with any Source Protection Committee comments in accordance with section 0.46 of the Clean Water Act 2006, and any director's instructions be established under regulation 287/07 52. So with that said, I would like to have someone move this, that the LPRC Board of Directors for here to fall. This one.
Just, you read the motion to.
Okay. You heard what I just said, mover Chris Van Patten and Tom. Further questions to this? Then we'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. With that, this section is finished and this meeting is now adjourned. Yep.